All right, who spent their holiday pay on records? Yep, right here. Starting things off with the latest release from Carcass. This is their Despicable EP. It's a 4-track EP, basically a stopgap until their new album comes out, slated for 2021. Let's hope it happens. So the vinyl variant for this one is Electric Blue. Nice little 10-inch there. This version is sold out, this variant rather, but it is still available in black or red if you're looking for it. Also it comes with what appears to be lyrics, all in one paragraph there, and also a lovely picture of a dead cow, obviously trying to make a statement. Of course, all I think is, steak. Believe it or not, there is a music video for a track on this EP. It's for The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. Great title. It's also a great movie title, because it is a movie, a horror movie to be precise. You should see it, it's fun. I say believe it or not because who does a music video for an EP track? You just don't see it as much, so there you go. Speaking of that track, it's definitely one of my very favorites on here. Also the long and winding Beer Road, basically the A-side, which is the stronger of the two sides. Though I wouldn't count the other tracks out, they're pretty decent. Under the Scalpel Blade is called Album Version. I'm going to assume it's going to be on that upcoming album, the LP that's coming out. Yeah, just a really great little EP. So we've got a bit of a Carcass pastiche here. There's a little bit of death, a little bit of grind, some melody, some groove. You know what you're getting with Carcass. So if this is an indicator of what's to come on the next album, yeah, I'm on board. Next up is the 30th anniversary edition of Pestilence's second album, Consuming Impulse, released by Hammerheart Records in 2019. Obviously, this album came out in 1989, a classic album. There are 2 LPs in here and a single sleeve. The second record is Live Veghel, 1989. It's all live tracks from that tour. Pretty cool. Also, what's really cool about this edition is that we get the originally planned artwork. This was actually supposed to be it back then, but for some reason didn't make it. Now it's here, so there you go. Also, I really dig the red foil on there. I don't know if you can see that a little bit. It's here, but it's also on the back cover around the pictures. Spent a little money on it. It's nice. Vinyl variant for this one is Classic Black. Nice custom labels, of course. This also came out in neon red. There were 300 copies, as well as clear and 200 copies. We also get the insert with the lyrics and the requisite band collage. Just like it's 1989 all over again. We also have a poster that has this wonderful original artwork on it. There we go. So if you're looking to hang that one up on your wall, there you go. So I'm pretty sure my favorites on this album haven't changed at all. I love Suspended Animation, but I especially love Out of the Body. That classic riff. Oh, brings me back. Great stuff. So Pestilence is a death metal band whose first 2 albums, this one as well as the debut record Malus Maleficarum, are basically required listening for old school death metal. So if you haven't heard it, you should. Next up is the 5th studio album for Ram. This is Rod, released by Metal Blade Records in 2017. This is a single LP in a gatefold sleeve. In case you're wondering what the band looks like, there you go. Vinyl variant for this one is Classic Black, 180 gram black to be precise. I really like the fusion of the original and modern Metal Blade Records disc label here. It's got the old axe there, brings you back to the 80s a little bit, which is also nice. I mean, this band's a little bit of a retro band. The record also comes in a number of other vinyl variants, combinations of orange and red and yellow, other colors as well. Of course, we have a lyric sheet on both sides here. We also have a poster, which is right here, which is rather large. There you go. Poster. Exciting. Favorites on this album include Gulag, as well as the track On Wings of No Return. Speaking of the latter, there is a music video for it. It's pretty fun. You should probably check it out. And if you like concept albums, the entire B-side of this record is a concept record. It is about Ramrod the Destroyer and his tale. So check that out if interested. So this is now my second Ram album. I bought 2019's The Throne Within previously. I talked about that on an episode of Vinyl Haul. And yeah, you know, given the fact that I have these two albums, I'm probably going to buy more of them. I definitely liked this one. So although a few of the tracks are a bit long, it does move along. The songs are pretty decent. You got a little gallop, you got a little shred, you got a little Halford-esque vocals. It's definitely a fun record. You should check it out. Switching gears here, we've got Crew Believers, a tribute to Motley Crue. It is obviously a cover tunes album, tracks done by some of Motley Crue's contemporaries. You have Jet Boy, Bang Tango, LA Guns, Pretty Boy Floyd, Tough, whole bunch of bands. I believe this is the first time we've seen this on vinyl. This is a 2020 issue by Deadline Records. And there was a CD in 2008, but it was only released in Europe. So there you go. I should explain Deadline Records a little bit. They are a subsidiary of Cleopatra Records. They do a lot of reissues and compilations of a lot of the Hollywood pop metal of the 1980s, albums for them, for those bands. If you're interested in that genre specifically, you should check out Deadline. Great little label, actually. Vinyl variant for this one is red. In fact, I don't believe it comes in any other color than red. There you go. Definitely have some favorites on this one. I really dig Red Hot from Tough. Tough featuring Tracy Guns, of course, the guitar player and founder of LA Guns. We also have Public Enemy No. 1 from Spiders and Snakes. Spiders and Snakes was the band that ex-London founder and guitarist Lizzie Gray did, all the way up until he died. He died in 2019. Also love the version of Live Wire on here from Steve Summers and Tracy Guns. Steve Summers, of course, is the lead singer of Pretty Boy Floyd. A lot of great tracks on here. Pretty good. Although I would admit there are ups and downs to this record. It's not all great tracks, but there are more good ones than bad ones, so I would definitely say check it out. Next up is a release I've been really excited to get. It took forever to come by the mail. You know that story by now. This is a 30th anniversary edition of Sanctuary's second record, Into the Mirror Black. It is a 3 LP set released by Century Media and fully remastered. So the first record is obviously the album in its entirety, again, remastered. Side 1 of the second record is demo tracks from 1989. Side B of record 2 and all of record 3 are live material from 1990, the tour in support of this record. Also, I should mention there's a nice little gloss finish right here. I don't know if you can see it. And it also carries over into the logo and the title of the album as well. Vinyl variant for this one is black. It also came in lilac as well as gray. Those two colors are for the European market specifically. As of last check, the gray is now sold out at the Century Media website. So if you're looking for that, it's going to be a little tougher to find. I really would buy this album sooner than later because it's going to sell out. It's really one of those records. Also, this came with a wonderful booklet here. I'll show you the back here. Some really cool stuff in here. A lot of pictures from the band. There you go. And the liner notes are really decent. There's a lot from the band, different memories from the band, particularly in the recording of this album and how poorly they dealt with each other. You can kind of see the beginning of the end of this band in a lot of ways here. Also, they talk about touring this album, and they talk about trying to survive in the beginning of the grunge era, which is kind of interesting. Quick look at the gatefold here. It's basically lyrics to all the tracks. I do want to talk about a couple of the tracks here. One is I Am Insane. It looks to be an outtake track from the Into the Mirror Black sessions. It's a decent song. It's at least a curiosity. I can see why it's cut too. It doesn't measure up to the other songs, but if you're a Sanctuary fan, you're going to want to hear it. It's a decent track. Also, in the live set, hearing Die For My Sins live is just incredible. It really brings me back. I saw Sanctuary on the Refuge Denied tour when they opened for Megadeth and Warlock back in 1988, and hearing that live version really brings me back. Can't say it enough. Also, the quality of the live recording is really good. It's well worth it. It's probably one of the best reasons to buy this record. So it's really amazing to have this record finally on vinyl. I'm a big fan of Sanctuary's first two records. I think they're untouchable. Regarding the second album, really great record. Really great, even more, to have the bonus tracks. So if you're looking to get this record for the first time or for the second time, maybe you have it on CD, you're going to want it for the bonus tracks. But also listen to the record too. It's a great album. Also for reissues, this is the 2018 reissue of Diamond Head's Lightning to the Nations album, released by High Roller Records. This is a 2 LP set, by the way. The first record has the full album on it. The second record has a collection of EP and single tracks, making this a rather definitive snapshot of the band back in 1980. Of course, I'm going to say that you shouldn't confuse this with the 2020 re-recorded version of Lightning to the Nations that's been released with the current lineup of the band. I was kind of down on that release before, but I've heard it recently. I kind of like it, and I'm going to purchase it. So, future vinyl haul, you're going to hear me talk about that too. Vinyl variant for this one is white, 350 copies released. It's also available on black, as well as purple, and a version called Electric Blue. Get it? It's electric. Checking out the gatefold, it's lyrics. And great picture of the band on the back. Also a couple things in here that are of interest. One is this fantastic A4 booklet on the band. It talks a great deal about this release, but it also talks about Nawabum. There are notes from a number of folks. Brian Tatler and Sean Harris talk quite a bit. They're in the band. Also, a lot of music journalists at the time. One of the guys who wrote the Nawabum Encyclopedia is in here. Again, fantastic old photos. And some more notes on Diamond Head. And also the variants of Lightning to the Nations. It had a few covers. And absolutely nothing on the back. And it also comes with an adorable Torpass replica. Okay. And of course, I'm going to be thoroughly unoriginal with my favorites here. I'm basically going to mention the Metallica cover songs. The songs, of course, that Metallica covered from this band. They liked Diamond Head a little bit, in case you didn't know that. Am I Evil, It's Electric, and Helpless. All Diamond Head songs, in case you didn't know that. And maybe The Prince. The Prince is decent as well. Of course, I love the original edition of this album, but having a clean copy of it, as well as the bonus tracks, definitely makes this a must-have purchase. So yep, another reissue. This is the 2020 remastered version of Cancer's second album, Death Shall Rise, originally released in 1991. This version is from Cyclone Empire, which is a German label. In addition to the original album, there are also 2 bonus tracks on this one. There are live versions of Hung, Drawn, and Quartered, as well as Bloodbath at the end of the B-side. Live from 1992, but don't worry, it's a single LP. Speaking of which, the vinyl variant is blue-black marble here, 180 gram weight, 500 released. It also comes with a lyric sheet, inserts, and of course some liner notes from the band, and of course the requisite band collage. Now I did want to talk about the cover a little bit. There's clearly some difference in this cover from the original. The colors are muted in this version. It's a little flatter, the logo's darker. I'm not sure if it's a color reproduction problem or they decided to go this route with the look of it. I don't know. If you know something I don't, let me know in the comments, but it is a little different. Favorites on this album are exactly the same as they were in 1991. Hung, Drawn, and Quartered. Amazing song, but my very favorite is Burning Casket. God, I love that track. Speaking of Hung, Drawn, and Quartered, Glenn Benton of Deicide does backing vocals on it, in case you're into that. So classic British death thrash. I actually did see the tour for this album back in 1992. They opened for Deicide and Demolition Hammer. And I can tell you, Cancer was better than Deicide. It's true. So, great album, very underrated. You should check it out. So I'm really excited about this record. This is Twisted Sister with Live at the Marquee 1983. It's a live album, obviously. Came out in 2018. 2 LP set covering the songs they did for those 2 sets back in March of 1983 at the Marquee Club in London. Gatefold sleeve has liner notes. It's actually more of an article. It's written by Malcolm Dome. He's a music journalist. He wrote for Kerrang! And Metal Hammer. He's also done a lot of books on heavy metal. You should probably check out his stuff. Great details. A lot of quotes from the band in here as well. Mostly about their early days, but also about these 2 shows they did at the Marquee. Well worth the read. This live album was released by Rhino Records, in case you're looking for it. Also, Mark Mendoza. He's an animal. I don't know if you know that. So 6 of these live tracks were originally available on UK singles for Twisted Sister. I believe The Kids Are Back, I Am, I'm Me, and You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. They were also available on the 1992 compilation for the band called Big Hits and Nasty Cuts. It came out in CD. But the other 7 are exclusive to this record, which is really great. Also, I did check setlist.fm to see the actual set list for these 2 nights at the Marquee, and this is a whole set. This is the entire show. So really cool to have a complete show from this band, from this tour. Vinyl variant for this one is red. I say variant, though. I think there's only a red version of it. Classic Atlantic labels, by the way, retro labels. These were big in the 70s and the 80s. Suppose they might look a little bit familiar to you. I don't know why it's not in pink. You would think, right? So since I hadn't heard the remaining 7 tracks until now, I gotta say my favorite live track on this one is for You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. So good. Twisted Sister was such an amazing live act. I saw them in 1986 with Dawkins supporting, and they totally blew Dawkins away. Kind of knew they would. I'm really psyched about the early material from this band. The first 2 albums are my favorite, and so I'm really psyched to have this live album that's really a part of that era. So there it is. Next up is the 3rd full-length release for Vektor. This is Terminal Redux, originally released in 2016 by Earache Records. Interesting story about the pressing of this album. Originally, there were 500 released on black, and then they sold out of those and just kept repressing black. So no one really knows the press count of this record at all. Speaking of which, this is the variant. It is Void Black. That's what the band calls it, or the label. It was also released in green, 300 copies. It also comes with a lyric insert there, and picture of the band and some notes. Also, look at the gatefold. It's a picture of the band. You like gatefolds? Then here you go. Out of the 10 tracks on this album, my favorite is definitely the album closer. It's called Recharging the Void. Yes, even with the clean vocal Pink Floyd-esque worship going on. Now, I know a lot of people compare this band to Voivod. Maybe there's some inspiration going on from that band, but I don't hear an exact copy at all. I know both bands are a bit proggy, and they're into the sci-fi thing, and the logo similarity is also there, but that's about it. So Vektor is a modern tech thrash band that do a lot of modern things, including write songs that are very long. But I dig it. I really like what I've heard on this record. I'm interested in hearing the 2 releases before it. In fact, if you're familiar with those, you should let me know in the comments which one I should hear next and what to expect. Oh my God, quick, hide the children. So one of the more celebrated releases of 2020, late 2020 to be precise, this is Eternal Champion with their 2nd record, Ravening Iron. No, not Ravening Iron. It's not about ravens. It is Ravening Iron. Put out by No Remorse Records. I believe they are a Greek label. Of course, this is American epic heavy metal, replete with swords and sorcery and fantasy, as if you couldn't tell by this cover. This is the follow-up to their 2016 debut record, The Armor of Ire. Amazing album. I have that one as well. It took me a while to find a reissue of it because it sold out pretty quickly, which should give you a gauge of how popular this band has gotten over the years. But this isn't Armor of Ire Part 2 in many ways. It's a bit more mid-paced. It's heavier at times. It's definitely a little bit thrashy, too. Produced once again by Arthur Risk of Sumerlands. He produced the last record as well. He's pretty known. He's worked on a lot of records for bands like Sacred Reich and Cirith Ungol and Crypt Sermon. Power Trip especially. You'll see his name on a number of those releases, so he's out there. In case it's not really obvious, the artwork is by Ken Kelly. Ken Kelly, of course, did the covers for Destroyer and Love Gun for Kiss, as well as a number of Manowar album covers. He's fairly recognizable, though a lot of people confuse him for Frank Franzetta. Not a real accident, though. Frank Franzetta is Ken Kelly's uncle, so there's definitely a connection there. Of course, the artwork is pretty racy, even for Ken Kelly. Also, checking out the disc labels, and we'll look at the record in a little bit, Side B has a rather interesting placement of the spindle hole, and I'll invite you to look at that for yourself. Hilarious. And speaking of the vinyl, it's silver. 500 copies released in this variant. Also released in red as well as blue. And I'm not going to show you side 2. You're going to have to see that one for yourself. Also comes with an insert, lyrics, and lots of fantasy illustrations, as well as band collage and a wonderful little graphic there. Favorites on this one include Skull Seeker, probably the best of the lot, also Coward's Keep, and the closing track, Banners of Arhai. Speaking of Coward's Keep, there are guest backing vocals from Jake Rogers. He's the lead singer of Visigoth, another great epic heavy metal band you should already be listening to. Also, if interested, they put out a lyric video for the title track. It's available at the No Remorse YouTube channel, so check it out. So their Bandcamp page shows this album as being completely sold out on vinyl, though No Remorse Records does have copies, though they are in Greece, so account for that. Other distros have this album as well. You can find it. Amazon is currently sold out, but they'll probably restock it in case you want to go that route. So an even better album than their first, which is saying something. And that's it for another episode of Vinyl Haul. Remember, of course, to like, subscribe, and share. Those are the ways to support the Accusation Network. I do metal vinyl collecting videos once or twice a week. You know the drill, so give me some love. Why not? Also, let me know in the comments which of these albums you liked, which ones you did not like. Also, any music suggestions. I'm always in the market for new bands, new albums for me, so definitely drop that in the comments. Would love to hear your opinion. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.